Hello, and thank you for tuning into the Panther Volleyball Club Podcast. My name's Jesus, member of the Hartnell Men's Volleyball Club team. And just a reminder, January 29, 2017, that's a Sunday at 2 p.m. we play San Jose State University at Hartnell. And February 4th, Saturday at 7 p.m. we play UC Berkeley, also at Hartnell College. Those are our only two home games, by the way, so please come to one or the other, or both. ¿Por qué no los dos? Just go to both. Once again, January 29, Sunday, versus San Jose State at 2 p.m. And February 4th, Saturday, versus UC Berkeley at 7 p.m. So be there. Yay. So this is a volleyball podcast, so let's talk volleyball. In the news today, this just came out about 12 hours ago or so. Maybe even yesterday. I forgot when I read this, but this is sad news. Dave Shoji, if you guys don't know who that is the head coach for the women's Hawaii NCAA volleyball team. He's been there for a long time. I believe I read 42 years. I think that's what it said on the NCAA website. But sad news, he is suffering from prostate cancer. So he's actually has to step off from the head coach position. He has to take a break, to get that worked out. Apparently he's known this for a couple weeks now, but he didn't want to come out. It'll affect his team. So our condolences go out to him, and our prayers go out to him that he gets well soon. Once again, that's Dave Shoji. You guys might also know him as the father of Eric Shoji and Kavika Shoji. Eric Shoji is the libero, and Kavika Shoji is the setter for USA men's national team. And they're both Olympians. They both went to the Olympics, bronze medalists this year, 2016. So once again, our condolences go out to him. He's a great coach, regarded as regarded as a legendary coach, I guess you can say. A very regarded, well-respected coach, such as, John Dunning and Russ Rose. So he's up there, well-respected all across volleyball. And our condolences and our prayers go out to him and his family in this difficult time. So speaking of NCAA volleyball, let's get a little bit more cheered up. And let's get to the bracket. I hope you guys watched these games. If you guys didn't, I suggest you guys go back, because there were so many games that went to 5 sets. It was exciting. I wasn't able to watch all of them because the first or whatever round that it started at, third round, which was on Friday, I was working, and most of those games were while I was working. So that was kind of annoying. And then some of those games were Saturday. So let's go through the bracket. And let's get started. The first, Nebraska versus Penn State. Like I said last week, if Penn State showed up, this was going to 5. And Penn State showed up. So the very, very first point of this game, it was Penn State blocking Katie Ralphson. I can't pronounce her name. Katie Ralphson, the Ralphson twins, part of the Ralphson twin, roofed her. Katie Ralphson was hitting 5, red, right side, whatever you call it, whatever part of the world you're in. She was hitting the opposite position, front row, and she got roofed, which I believe was 1-on-1 to Simone Lee. That's how the game started. So that should tell you right away. Penn State came to play 1-on-1, and they roofed this All-American. And here was the surprising thing about the game. I went and watched it on Saturday. So before I watched it, I kind of saw the results already. I'm like, oh, Nebraska won in 5. But watching it, I was like, how the hell did Nebraska win? Seriously, Nebraska was up, and then Penn State would close the gap and come next to them. I was like, how? So when I saw the results, Nebraska lost the first 2 sets. Nebraska was up the first set. I was watching it. I'm like, wait a second. Online it says Penn State won the first 2 sets. Nebraska's up by like 3 or 4 points. And we're talking about the 20s here, the little home stretch. Pretty much that's guaranteed victory for Nebraska, the number 1 team in the nation, perhaps the best team in the nation. We'll find out eventually this week. And Penn State just comes from behind and takes the lead. They do that pretty much every single set. Minus the last sets where they came back but didn't take the lead, but they still came back. So the first two and a half sets, it was all outsides. It was a battle of the pins, man. I don't know if they got together and like, hey, let's just not set our middles and just set our outsides and our right sides. But that's what they did. It was Allie Franti and Simone Lee from Penn State just hammering Nebraska. I mean, they were hitting from everywhere. Angles, line, you name it. Whatever outside could hit, they were doing it. And they were getting points. This was perhaps the best game that Allie Franti has ever had. I think she's a junior. She just had an amazing game. Also, Simone Lee, they looked unstoppable the first 2 sets, and they were the main reason why Penn State won those first 2 sets. And the main reason why they could have won. So it was all Allie Franti and all Simone Lee for the first 2 sets. Now the score for the first set was 25-23 Penn State. And keep in mind, Nebraska had the lead all the way up to the 20s. And Penn State just comes up from behind and then just wins it. Wins that first set. Second set, also 25-23 Penn State. It was almost a carbon copy of the first set. Simone Lee, Allie Franti, they looked unstoppable. They were not only were they unstoppable, they were blocking Nebraska. They outblocked Nebraska this game. Who outblocks Nebraska? Penn State did. That's how they won those first 2.5 sets. They outblocked Nebraska. If you have a chance to watch this game is very exciting. And it makes you wonder so the score's 25-23. They out-hit Nebraska. They outblocked Nebraska. How the hell did Nebraska get their points? I have no idea. I watched the game. I'm like, wait a second. Penn State scoring points, but Nebraska's up. How? I don't know. I was watching it. I still couldn't figure it out because they weren't doing much. Nebraska wasn't doing much, honestly. As far as serving-wise, they both missed the equal amount of serves. Penn State would miss a serve. 2 points later, Nebraska would miss a serve, and vice versa. Nebraska missed a serve. Oh, look, Penn State's got to miss a serve too. That's pretty much how the whole game went for all 5 sets regarding serving. And then this is where it switched, the third set. So, spoiler alert, I should have said that from the beginning, but if you're listening to this podcast and you don't want to know who won, what happened, keep listening, screw it. So anyways, the third set is where the magic happens. Penn State had the lead, 24-22. I'm not kidding. Penn State had the lead, 24-22. And Nebraska flips it on them, and they score. They block Penn State. They block Simone Lee. And then they come back. And then their outsides and their middle score. And all of a sudden, Nebraska takes the third set, 26-24. That was like, wow, Penn State, you had game point twice. 24-22 and 24-23. You had game point twice. But really, I forgot how Nebraska got it to 24-23. And then how Nebraska got that 23 to tie it up. They blocked Simone Lee, who looked unstoppable. Once they blocked her, because Simone Lee tried to cut at an angle. But there's a roof there in Amber Rolfson. Just a big wall, just boom, just roofed her. But Simone Lee had line. She could have just taken line, ended it. Nebraska would have been swept in 3. How crazy would have that been? Nebraska, ranked number 1 versus Penn State, ranked number 16. Nothing against Penn State. This is the lowest, but by the way, this is the lowest Penn State has been ranked. The lowest Russ Rose team that has been ranked in the tournament. Whenever he's been ranked, this is the lowest he's ever been ranked. How crazy would have that been? Penn State beating Nebraska, sweeping Nebraska. It was, dude, I was at the edge of my seat. I'm like, I know the outcome, but I wanted Penn State to win because they had game point 24-22, 24-23, 24-24. That pretty much where the game was ended, 24-24. Pretty much that's when Nebraska finally took over. They were finally hitting. They were finally playing like Nebraska. Because first two sets, it's all like, who is this team? But Nebraska came back. They dug deep, came back, won the fourth set 25-19, and won the fifth set 15-6. Like, you guys should watch this game. This game is very fun. But then again, this whole tournament is honestly like one of the funnest tournaments I think I've ever seen in a while. Sorry about that. Excuse me. And then they played the winner, Washington. The winner versus Washington versus Arizona. I didn't watch that game. But Washington, based on the scores, Washington beat Arizona fairly easy. 25-15, 25-22, 25-18. Okay, so Washington versus Nebraska. Saturday. That game was on Nebraska. It wasn't even close. Sorry, Washington. Washington got swept. Whatever Washington did to Arizona, that's what Nebraska did to Washington. So now that's how Nebraska's in the Final Four. They went from almost getting swept by Penn State to now making it to the top four. And they play Texas. Nebraska versus Texas this Thursday, December 15 at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN. Not ESPN2, not ESPNU. It was just announced that it's going to be streamed on ESPN, the main channel. So everyone should watch this game. If you guys don't know, this is a rematch of last year's championship game where Nebraska swept Texas. So my prediction is Nebraska is going to either sweep Texas or beat them in 4. So let's see how Texas got to this point. Texas went up against Creighton. If you guys don't remember, or who did they go up against? Hold up. Let me get my mind right. Okay, so I skipped the bracket. So how did Creighton get to Texas? I'll tell you. Creighton beat Michigan. If you guys remember last week, Creighton beat Kansas, who was ranked 5th. They upset Kansas. And now they upset Michigan. This Creighton team just pulled 2 upsets in the tournament. Team I've never heard of. My friends have never heard of Creighton. I've never heard of Creighton. I don't even know where they're at. I should probably Google it. Nah, next time. So they beat Michigan in 5. Scores, Creighton. So I'll say the Creighton score first, followed by the Michigan. 24-26, 25-21, 17-25, 25-20, 15-7. So Creighton just pulled 2 upsets this tournament. Unfortunately, they played against Texas. And Texas swept them. Texas ranked 4th, and that's how Texas is playing Nebraska this Thursday, 7:30 p.m. ESPN. It's also streaming online, so don't worry about it. But if you're near a TV, pretty much everyone has the main ESPN channel. You guys should all check it out. So what did Texas do? So Texas played against BYU to play against Creighton. But BYU beat UNLV, which stands for University of Las Vegas. Yay, Vegas. BYU swept UNLV 25-23, 25-21, and 25-12. Damn. So that's how they played Texas. Texas played against SMU. SMU, do not know what that stands for. I am so sorry. But that was a fairly easy win for Texas. I'm not going to read out the scores, but SMU didn't even reach the 20s. All right. So Texas versus BYU. So when this game was on, which was on Friday, which was when I was working, I just decided to log in and listen to the game while I was working. I wasn't watching it. I was listening to it in case, people are listening to this. So I was listening to this game, And it was an exciting game because we all know we're all volleyball players. If you're listening to this podcast, you're a volleyball player. If you don't, then maybe you can relate somehow. But when someone hits the ball, you know it's a hard hit when it makes a certain sound. You know, it's pretty much like a loud, I don't even know how to describe it, but if you hear it, a volleyball player would know that's a hard hit. That's pretty much what I heard from Texas versus BYU. Just hard hits coming from Texas. Every once in a while, the BYU pin hitters would have the same effect, but mainly it was Texas outside hitters that were just banging away against BYU. Now, this game went to 5 sets. And the reason it did is because BYU has heart, and they're a scrappy team. Like, even though I was listening to it, I was watching a couple sets, a couple plays here and there. And like I said, you could hear the ball coming from Texas, just like banging away. Texas was holding nothing back. BYU would pick that up. And not only that, if it was a bad pass, because Texas is just banging away, and we all know how hard it is to dig a ball that the other team's best outside hitter is hitting, try to get it to target. Sometimes it'd go straight up, sometimes it'd go near the sideline. But if BYU got it up, they were playing it out because the whole team rushed to wherever that ball either got shanked to, or if it was a good pass, they would all just get ready for offense. But if it was, a bad pass, the whole team would go and cover just to be safe. And that's amazing, dude. BYU just so disciplined, playing with so much heart, and that's how they took Texas to 5 sets. Now, I watched the 4th and the 5th set. By watched, I mean listen to the 4th and 5th set. So, like I said, all I heard was banging from Texas, and BYU was just hustling and playing with so much heart. Dude, it got me excited, dude. There was a point where, it was break time, so I had to watch the game. It was break time, so I had to watch the game for a little bit, and I was like jumping up and down. I'm like, oh, BYU might upset Texas, because Texas won the 4th set, leading to the 5th set, and BYU had the lead. It was like 13, it was like 13-9, I think. And then, because it was amazing, dude. The reason it was amazing because BYU just hustled, man. And what I mean by hustle, like, for example, I'll give you a play that happened. It was the middle of the 5th set, I think, towards the beginning of the 5th set or towards the end of the 4th. So the outside for Texas just bangs it away. The libero over here on the left shanks it to the left, I believe. And then it wasn't a great pass. The second ball, which I think the outside had a pass towards the middle, it wasn't great either. But the whole team was there. They were all sprawling just to keep this ball up, just to make sure that this ball doesn't hit the ground. So this team, they were able to get a free ball over on the third one. I think the libero was still on the ground. The outside was still on the ground. Whoever free balled it over was on their knees, on their knee pads. And then by the time Texas passed that free ball and before the setter had it in their hands, everyone was in their defense already. Everyone. The libero, the setter, the middle. And then, so what does Texas do? Texas sets the middle. Why? Why does Texas set the middle? Because they just watched the whole team, come to this one side of the court. There's half the team's on the ground just because they're trying to play the ball, trying to keep it in play. So obviously Texas is going to go to the middle, be like, oh, middle's not ready for it. Half the team probably still moving back. Nope. The whole team there in their defense. They're a scrappy team, dude. Not only that, when Texas set the middle, BYU had 3 blockers up. That's dedication. That takes dedication right there. And discipline. I mean, it's easy to say, oh, I just sprawled for that. I just gave everything just to give a free ball back. I don't want to block. No, they pulled up 3 freaking blockers, and everyone in the back row is in their defensive position. BYU lost this point. It went off the block. It did one of those rolls, and then it hit the antenna. So technically, it's Texas point because it went off the block and touched the antenna. But that surprised me, dude. That surprised me. half the BYU is on the ground. Everyone's staring at the ball, watching it over. And by the time the setter has it, they're back on defense. And then they put 3 blockers up on the middle. BYU should have won this game. They should have won it. They pulled the Penn State. Because BYU had the lead. It was like 13-9. And then not only did they pull a Penn State, but if you guys remember, last year, USC did the same thing when they had Bricio. I think it was also like 13-9, and somehow they lost. So I don't know what it is about this tournament and the score 13-9, but if you're up and it's 13-9, you're screwed. It's like a curse now. You're gonna lose somehow, some way. You're gonna lose. Now, albeit they did lose to a very good Texas team. You know, Texas last year, second best because they lost in the championship to Nebraska, got swept. But you know, Texas, BYU, whew, you guys should watch this game. This game for sure. Watch this one and then watch the Nebraska Penn State. You will not be disappointed, and because for the main part, BYU is not well known for their women's side of the volleyball team. When I think BYU, when I say BYU to my friends, if you're into volleyball and I say BYU, everyone thinks of the men's volleyball team because the men's volleyball team's good, and you don't hear about the women's volleyball team. But I have a feeling now we're going to start to hear about the women's volleyball team also, which is a good thing. I love BYU. So that's what happened. That's how Texas ended up playing against Creighton. And that's how Texas playing against Nebraska. Now let's jump ship to another exciting match. Wisconsin versus Ohio State. How many sets did they go to? I don't know, 5. It seems like every freaking game on here went to 5 sets. Jesus Christ. So, for the most part, it started off all Wisconsin. The first set, 25-15. It looked like Wisconsin was going to sweep Ohio State. But then Ohio State rallies up because that's just the team they are. You know, you beat them and then they're going to come back. 25-21, Ohio State, second set. Third set, shit gets crazy. Ohio State wins the third set. Here's the score, 31-29. Oh, my bad. Of course, this led by Sambodi, and I believe this other one's an outside hitter who had 19 kills. Luis, I don't know how to say her name. Shimmer. So, rallied up, won the second and third set. Wisconsin, that's heading into the break. You know, the intermission, 10-minute break. Wisconsin comes back out, a little bit more poised. 25-22. Ohio State. Here comes fifth set. I didn't watch this game, by the way, so I'm just going based off the scores. I'm pretty sure this was an exciting match, by the way, because I'll get to it once I read the last score. 15-13, Wisconsin in 5. So, even though I didn't watch this, I'm pretty sure this was another exciting one. Just 5 sets. Fifth set, it was won by 2, 15-13. And then, if you guys follow Wisconsin on Facebook, the Women's Volleyball Facebook page, when I saw the video of Wisconsin after they beat Ohio State, they were running into the locker room. And they were all cheering. So most of the team, like 99% of the team, was already like huddled up in the circle, waiting for Lauren Carlini, the setter, great setter, and the coach, because I'm assuming they were off, you know, just doing the interviews. Coach, you know, you just won, blah blah blah. Lauren Carlini, great win. Yeah. You guys know how it is. So most of 99% of the teams in here just waiting for Carlini and the coach. So this is the video. The video is of them. It's like a minute-long video, but really you just need to watch the first like 3 seconds because it's freaking hilarious. Lauren Carlini and the coach come running in, just like jumping and cheering, and Lauren Carlini almost falls because the coach is sort of dragging her in because the coach is just like super hyped that they just beat Ohio State. So he's like dragging Lauren Carlini in. Lauren Carlini does like this weird like little jump up and like kicks her like left leg back while the coach is like dragging her, and she almost falls. Like, you don't catch it unless you like pay attention. But if you guys have a chance, just go to the Wisconsin's volleyball team page, find that video, because you'll laugh for like a good 5 seconds. Anyways, and then Wisconsin, after beating Ohio State, they moved on to play against Stanford. Now, how did Stanford get here? If you guys remember last week, I said I wasn't really impressed by Stanford. I had a feeling that they were going to lose to Florida State. But I think this is the only game, well, besides UCLA and Minnesota, because Minnesota's a monster. Besides this, I think this is one of the few games that actually went to 4. It probably wasn't that I don't remember watching this game. Stanford versus Florida State. Stanford won in 4. Jesus Christ, I already off the scores. Florida State took the first set, 27-25. Stanford took the second one, 25-20. Stanford took the third set, 25-9. Jesus Christ, what happened in that third set? Damn, Florida State. And then fourth set, 25-23. I guess they really felt bad for losing 25-9. So I didn't see that. Let's look at the kills, because for some reason it's just showing me kills. What the aces and digs. It's not telling me blocks. Okay. All right. Inky Ajanaku. The name speaks for itself. Middle blocker for Stanford. 17 kills and 1 ace. Would love to see how many blocks. Dude. And then the other noticeable ones, Catherine Plummer, 15 kills, 2 aces, 9 digs. And Marette Lutz, 10 kills, 2 digs. She got 2 digs? All she plays is front row. How did she get 2 digs? I don't know. Everyone else had around 5-6 kills. You know, Ivana, Adriana, and Jenna around 5 or 6. So that's it. I'm pretty sure that game doesn't sound exciting. So if you guys have a chance, nothing against Stanford. I love Stanford. I live like an hour 15 from Stanford. So whenever I have a chance, I go and watch their women's team or their men's team. And then we get to Stanford versus Wisconsin. Now, this game was on Saturday, the day after, you know, their Friday matches. So heading into this, I thought Wisconsin was going to beat Stanford fairly easy. Nope. Stanford beat Wisconsin in 5. Another 5-setter. How does Stanford beat Wisconsin? I need to go back and watch this game. This game's probably fun. All right. Stanford, 18-25 first set. 24-26. 25-21. 25-21. 15-9. Based off the scores, I think I know what happened. Wisconsin, just, like I said, like I described the video that you guys should all go watch when Wisconsin beat Ohio State. I think Wisconsin they put too much against Ohio State, which they needed it to move on to this, but I don't think they saved enough energy to beat Stanford. And Stanford, you know, fairly easy win. So Stanford beat Wisconsin. Wow, I had to go watch this game. Like I said, nothing against Stanford. I just didn't think they were going to make it this far. I didn't think they were going to be in the Final Four, to be honest. Because the reason for it is they just lost 3 seniors last year, 2 outside hitters and their setter. Whenever a team loses, you know, 2 outside hitters and a setter, and all 3 of them are seniors, there's a, I don't know, 99% chance that a senior is going to touch the ball at least once, you know, passer, outside hitter, setter, senior, you know, at least once, you know. So Stanford losing Maddie Bug, Jordan Burgess, and what was her name? Brittany Howard. Stanford losing them 3, and then during the season losing Haley Hodson and their other outside. You know, that puts a little bit of doubt in Stanford, but then they come back and all of a sudden they're in the Final Four. You know, it's amazing. And I was reading an article earlier about how they managed to do this. Because, you know, like, just reading it on paper even as a fan, you have your doubts for this season. You pretty much just written this season off. You lose 3 seniors from last year. You lose Haley Hodson, who did amazing last year. And then you lose another outside. And it's like, shit. What else do you have? What else can you do? So, according to, I forgot whose article it was. I think it was actually on the NCAA website. It was during an Arizona match where they lost to Arizona. And then mid-match, they decided to, now I remember, it was an article on Catherine Plummer, and not Catherine Plummer, on what's her name? Kelsey Humphreys, who's a senior setter, who's not the starting setter anymore. So this article was about her new role, which is kind of similar to the role of Russell Holmes. Russell Holmes was the starting middle for USA men's team, and now he's more of a supportive cast, and so that's what Kelsey Humphreys is now. She's more of a supportive cast, but she goes in and plays back row, right side for Marette Lutz. Marette Lutz, 6'8", right side. So she went from the starting outside to now just playing right side, just playing defense. Not even in serve receive, because they kind of like push her out on serve receive. Stanford just does two people serve receive. Seems like the new trend now. So she had to adjust to that, and that's what this article was, just her adjusting to her new role. And this John Dunning, he did this mid-match, I guess, against Arizona when all this stuff was happening to Stanford, and it worked out, so. And I think they were explaining why it worked. You got a freshman outside, you got a freshman middle, and you have a freshman setter. So really losing all those seniors really didn't affect these freshmen because they didn't play with those seniors. So now these freshmen are the ones contacting the ball. You got Hentz, libero, freshman. I believe she's a freshman. You got Catherine Plummer on the outside, freshman. You got freshman middle Adriana Fitzmaurice, and then you got freshman Jenna Gray. And so all these freshmen just coming in together and just performing, and then now they're in the Final Four. It's exciting. These girls are freshmen, and they show a lot of potential, and as freshmen they're already in the Final Four. How will they do these next 4 years? I hope they do really well. I am a Stanford fan. I did have my doubts before this tournament, simply because, all the stuff I listed. They lost a senior. When we went to go see them early on, they really didn't look that great, to be honest. Once again, I love Stanford. But to be honest, when they beat Minnesota, this was very, very early on. When they beat Minnesota, when they beat them, they really didn't look. They looked good, but they didn't look Final Four good like they do now. So I'm kind of glad that they were able to figure something out, and I'm glad that they figured it out with freshmen, with players that are going to stick with the program for the next 4 years, and I'm excited for the next 4 years. Hopefully next year they make it to the Final Four. So now, going back to the bracket, Stanford beat Wisconsin. So now Stanford plays Minnesota at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, December 15th. On which channel? ESPN, the main one. Not 2, not 3. That's right, the main ESPN channel at 4. I'm working on Thursday. God damn it. Working on Thursday. Feeling a little sick. Might have to call in sick on Thursday around 4 p.m. Okay, so Minnesota versus Stanford. Is it a surprise that Minnesota's here in the Final Four? No, it's not. Last year, they made it to the Final Four, and then they got eliminated by Texas. And then Texas went on to lose the championship to Nebraska. So hopefully this year, Minnesota beats Stanford. Minnesota ranked 2, Stanford ranked 6. Hopefully Minnesota could beat Stanford. But hopefully, I think they're going to. My predictions are Minnesota beats Stanford in 5. The way Stanford's playing, if they continue the way Stanford's playing, they could take Minnesota to 5. I don't think they have what it takes to beat Minnesota, but hopefully they have what it takes to make it a very exciting match. How did Minnesota get here? We all knew they were going to win, but how did they get here? They played against UCLA. UCLA beat North Carolina, which UCLA is ranked 10 and North Carolina is ranked 7 in this tournament. So here are the scores. UCLA 23-25, 25-22, 25-23, and 28-26. And then who did Minnesota beat? Missouri. Like I said, they were going to beat Missouri. Missouri took a set. Wow, I'm surprised. Missouri took a set, and they took the second set. So the first set, Minnesota 25-15, 21-25, 25-19, and 25-14. So it's safe to say Minnesota beat Missouri pretty easily. And then Minnesota went on to sweep UCLA. Even though they swept UCLA, it wasn't... Here's the scores for Minnesota UCLA. Minnesota 25-23, 25-20, 25-22. So UCLA didn't do terrible. I watched a little bit of this, and UCLA kept up with Minnesota for the giant part of the game. It was never like 10-1 or like 12-6 or any of that. It was pretty much UCLA always stuck to Minnesota, but when it got towards the end, that's when Minnesota showed its experience and its poise, and it just pulled away from UCLA and sweeping UCLA. So even though they swept UCLA did put up a fight, and I'm surprised that they actually did. And well, they've been playing really well actually throughout the season. So we're down to 4, guys. We're down to 4. Nebraska versus Texas. 7:30. No, wait. 6:30. Is it 6:30? Yeah, 6:30 p.m. My bad. 6:30 p.m. Thursday, December 15th on ESPN Uno. That means it regular ESPN. Not that if you look for ESPN. Never mind. Stanford versus Minnesota, same day, Thursday, December 15th. That one is at 4 p.m. ESPN. Thursday. Now, the winners of these, which I'm predicting Nebraska and Minnesota, play on Saturday, December 17th. I hope Saturday is December 17th. Let me double check. Yes, Saturday, December 17th. The winners play at 6 p.m. Right now, it says ESPN 2. But, that may change. So, check Facebook. Or you can stream it online. I've been streaming it online. I haven't had an issue so far, mainly because I got Comcast internet, and AT&T, the world's strongest LTE network. And so great games Thursday and Saturday. Saturday, the championship match. So check your TV guide around 6 p.m. That's when it starts. ESPN or ESPN2. Woo! That was the bracket. My guess is Nebraska versus Minnesota, and I really hope Minnesota beats Nebraska. I really hope they do. Nebraska wins, it's all right. It's all right. They deserved it. They've dominated this season. They dominated, I think, even more than last season. I think they have a better record than they did last season. But I kind of want Minnesota to win. So let's stick to NCAA volleyball, and let's move over to the men's. So the men's NCAA, they start pretty soon. I know some of the Stanford matches start in January. Stanford's gonna participate in a tournament down in Santa Barbara at the Gauchos. So news for where I'm looking for it right now. Bear with me for a second. That's not it. Why? Okay, here it is. So this week, they released the AVCA coaches men's pool. That's pretty much the rankings for the men's. Now, here are the rankings. Ranked number 1, no surprise, last year's champions, Ohio State. Surprise. Number 2, UCLA, who made it to the semifinals last year, got eliminated by Ohio State. 3rd, my favorite, BYU. 4th, Long Beach State. 5th, Pepperdine. Nice. 6th, Lewis. For most of you that don't remember, Lewis made it all the way to the championship, lost to Loyola 2 seasons ago. Not last season, because last season Ohio State won, but the season before that when they lost to Loyola. 7, Hawaii. 8, UC Irvine. 9, Stanford. And 10, George Mason. Now, I don't know who George Mason is. I think they're in Ohio State's league. Could be wrong. No. I think Ohio State beat George Mason to something, I don't know. The main teams are I forgot what the league name is. God, I'm horrible. Anyways, no surprises as number 1 Ohio State. UCLA number 2 and BYU 3. Those are debatable. I would personally have BYU second just because they made it to the championship and they were favorites. God, they should have beat Ohio State. They did not show up that match. If you guys watched that match, or if you haven't, don't watch it. I think Ohio State won in 3, honestly. I think that's what it was. I kind of erased that game from my memory bank just because BYU they didn't show up at all. No one showed up. Ben Patch didn't show up. I mean, they were there. They played, but they didn't play like themselves. And or maybe that's how good Ohio State is, because really, never even heard of Ohio State men's team until last year. And then they come out of nowhere and win the championship. And then for me, the most exciting game from last season was Ohio State versus UCLA. That was a great match. If you guys want to watch a game that's exciting, watch that game. Ohio State versus UCLA. Ohio State, their National Player of the Year was a freshman last year, so they still have him. UCLA, from what I remember, they have mainly all their players, but they're mainly strong is because John Speraw is their coach. If you guys don't know, John Speraw is the coach for the men's national team, USA men's national team. And I think at the end of the Olympics, he signed a contract saying that he's going to stay with the men's national team for the next 4-year, I forgot what they call it, quadrennial or whatever. So he's going to be the coach all the way to the 2020 Olympics, which is in Tokyo. So start saving up your money. I'm going to do the same. We're heading to Tokyo in 2020. Yay! And 3rd, BYU. BYU, look, very strong last year when they got Ben Patch returning. Ben Patch didn't play the season before that because he was on a mission or whatever. But since his return, BYU's been super strong, and he's just been an amazing player. BYU still has what's his name? Brandon Sanders, the younger brother of Taylor Sanders, and he's really improved a lot from his freshman year. Last year he did great. This year I'm hoping he does better. Do they still have the other outside? I'm not sure. The other outside was Jake Langlois, and I think he's either senior or junior. I know Sanders is a junior. Ben Patch should be a senior. And the middles, their middles. Were their middles seniors this year? I'm not sure, but their middles did work, which is why BYU was so strong. Their middles did freaking work last season. And then Long Beach State, 4th. This is actually pretty accurate, these top 4 teams, because they really didn't lose their star players, because Long Beach State still has their setter. Josh Tutunique. Oh, dude, I can't say his last name. I'm so sorry, but Josh Tunique. Oh my god, dude, I can't pronounce anything. And their star outside, TJ DeFalco. TJ DeFalco is a freaking monster. Just YouTube him, TJ DeFalco. Just don't Google him, or else you'll find out what TJ stands for. But TJ DeFalco. Pepperdine, they did great last season, ranked 5th. They earned that 5th spot. They really did impress a lot of people last year. Lewis in 6, okay. Hawaii in 7. I'm not sure how strong they're gonna be. I think they lost their setter, last year's senior setter. Oh god, I forgot his name. I forget everyone's name. It's like before the podcast, I could list all these players off, no problem. But as soon as I start the podcast, I forget all their names. I think his name is... I say his name all the freaking time. How do I not remember his name? But I think they lost quite a bit of players, honestly. I think last year their main players were seniors. Franciscovich, was he a senior last year? Franciscovich might have been a senior. They lost their libero last season. He wasn't there because he graduated already. So I don't know what Hawaii's going to bring to the table this season, but they're ranked 7. But that's because they're always strong, though. Well, not strong, but they're always in the top 10. Sometimes they're closer to, that number 1 spot, but this season, I think I see them staying more towards the middle. And we'll see who they have this season. We'll see how good Hawaii is. They're always exciting. And UC Irvine, a couple years ago, they were pretty strong. And they're ranked 8th this season. So let's see how strong they are. And let's see how strong Stanford is. Once again, I'm a Stanford fan. Live like an hour 15, an hour 20 away. The thing about Stanford is they always start off very slow for some reason. Like the men's team, at least. They had a great team a couple years ago that made it all the way to a championship, and I think that's the year that they lost to BYU against Taylor Sander. Could be wrong. God, I should do my research before I do this podcast. I know. Anyway, last season Stanford got, at least the last 2 seasons, they've had horrible starts where they didn't look that strong, and then towards the middle and the end of the season, they pick it up and they look like a completely different team. And I think that's I'm not sure if that's the coaching. With all credits to the coaching, man. Like, even though they always, slow start, they always end off the season strong. And hopefully they do that this season. If not, they start off strong and then just continue on. They lost one of their outsides. But I think they've been alternating outsides for the past 2 seasons. So hopefully they picked up some good freshmen. I know they picked up, I think, 3 or 4 freshmen from what I saw early on a couple months ago. So hopefully they get a young group in there. And even if they don't, end the season how they want it, if they get a young group in there, I'm pretty sure they could be good in a couple seasons. And George Mason 10. Know nothing about George Mason. Name sounds familiar because they came up last year, I think, in the bracket and tournament play. I'm pretty sure Ohio State beat them. Or they might be one of the champions, because I'm not sure about the 2 leagues. Was it the MEVA and the EVA? Something like that. And Ohio State won one of those, and I think George Mason won the other one. Anyways, we'll see. I think the top 4 teams are ranked. The top five teams, because Pepperdine really did do well last season. Top 5 teams did really well. We'll see. It's going to be a really good season for the men's team. Really exciting to see BYU. Hopefully they can make it all the way to the championship. Avenge, their loss to Ohio State. And UCLA too, man. UCLA lost to 5 to Ohio State. They were very close to making it to the championship. And that would have been an exciting match too. If UCLA and BYU, if they both showed up, that would have been a match. I want to see that. So I know Ohio State plays Stanford in January. 13 and 14 at Stanford. So I will be there for that. So, Volleyball Podcast. Let's talk about the men's club team. So, I don't know what the bracket is. I don't know what leagues or whatnot, because there's so many. There's a Brazilian league, there's an Italian league, there's a Russian league, there's a Superliga Italian league. They're in the Champions League. I think last week when I did the podcast on Wednesday, that's when they started the Champions League. So right now I'm gonna do something right now. Last week I did the player highlight where we highlighted Victor Polatev. YouTube him. VIK. Victor with a K. VIKTOR. Polatev. POLETAEVE. Forgot. But you should be able to type in Victor Pol, and then it should autofill to Victor Polatev. And Epic Volleyball has a great video of him, of highlight clips of him. Epic Volleyball has great highlight clips in general. After seeing that Victor Polatev, just scroll through their channel, man. They have a lot of great highlight. That's where I watch most of my highlight clips whenever I want to see, Taylor Sander, Matt Anderson. But today's player highlight is none other than Irvin Engapeth. Most of you that know me, I say this name at least once a day. Irvin Engapeth. He's amazing, dog. Like, I follow World of Volley on Facebook, and lately that's all. It's him. Like every other post that they do, it seems like lately it's freaking Engapeth doing what Engapeth does. Oh, he hit Engapeth again. Got a game-winning point again. Yay, freaking Engapeth. Oh, he tricked the defense trying to hit, and then he set it to the outside. Freaking Engapeth, man. He's just been doing all of this. But one thing that did catch my eye, before I talk about this freaking clip, which is hilarious, Irvin Engapeth. He has a little brother too. He's playing right now for Modena Azzurri, which last year were the champions of the Italian league. So he's 6'4". He's 6'4". It seems like all the great players are 6'4". Him, Taylor Sander is 6'4". He doesn't look 6'4" though. If you watch him play, he looks more like 6'6", 6'7"-ish. But according to the Wikipedia, and maybe I could find a better one, maybe World of Volley, maybe World League. If you guys didn't know, Irvin Engapeth, he plays for France national team. He's an outside hitter. He's 194 centimeters. I'm not going to do the conversion right now. Too tired. So he was born 2/12/1991. We almost have the same birthday. I just realized we almost have the same birthday. Jesus Christ, Mom, you couldn't have me a couple days after? Come on. Man, makes me question myself. Irvin Engapeth is the same age as me. This good. How come I'm not this good? Okay, I'm not going to think about it. All right. So, he plays for France national team, plays for Modena, the club team. France, last year, since we're still in 2016, last year in 2015, they won World League. They did work in World League, dude. They were on fire. And honestly, I thought they were going to do better in the Olympics because they won World League, the year before. And that was towards the end, I think, towards the end of the season, towards the end of the year. And 2016, it was kind of weird for World League because it started a lot earlier than it normally does just because the Olympics happened. And this year, 2016, Serbia won it. And France, they didn't do that so well. But you never count them out because they won World League in 2015. So I thought they were going to do a lot better this Olympics. But hopefully they pick it up for the next Olympics 2020. I would really love to see them. They have some really good players, especially Irvin Engapeth. So the reason why he's my player highlight, he's 6'4", jumps really high. One of my favorite players of all time. by far. I'm ordering his jersey right now. No, I'm not ordering it right now. I'm gonna wait till I get paid because it's like $100 or something like that for an Angapeth jersey from France. So, anyways, the reason he's my player highlight this week is he's really good, and he does a lot of weird stuff. You know, if you guys don't know what the Angapeth is, it's pretty much you do like a 180, and like still like you swing at the ball, not as hard, but you like sort of swing at the balls. Pretty much you overrun it on purpose. You 180 it. One of our outside hitters, Edgar Huerta, does it a lot. Freaking Edgar. Angapeth. So every time you see someone do that, I call it the Angapeth because the only professional player that I see do that. And when someone else does it, you know, it's on Facebook. It's like, oh, this person did the Angapeth. You know, so if you're on Facebook, follow World of Volley because they post a lot of little clips of the men and the women club team and the national team. We know whenever it's World League and whenever it's the Euro games. So that's pretty much where I get my news from, World of Volley, and of course the FIVB, Facebook, and NCAA. I have a couple sources, but mainly for clips, it's World of Volley because they cover the club teams really well. So a couple weeks ago, like I said, my feed's full of Angapeth stuff because of World of Volley. Because every other post that they post is Angapeth doing Angapeth stuff. So back in November, towards the mid to end November, Modena was playing against this other team, Padesci or something like that. Something with a P. It wasn't Shaw's team. It was someone else because I know Shaw's team also sounds very familiar to that. But it's not. It's some other random team I've never heard of. So I'm going to lay out the clip first. So this is the clip. The title was blah, 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 and Angapeth, you know, they go at it. I'm like, what? Who's getting in a fight with Angapeth? So it wasn't a fight, really, you know, but. So this is essentially what the clip was. Some guy from some random team, his last name's Hernandez. I forgot his full name. He's a lefty, plays right side for this club team. So he got a kill. So Angapeth was blocking. He plays outside, so Angapeth was blocking. He left him in line, and Angapeth's little brother, Swan Angapeth, was digging behind him, you know, digging line, and he was sort of near the 10-foot line. So this guy, he's a lefty. His last name's Hernandez. He hits the line. Swan Angapeth is way too far forward. You know, he moves back, but it's way too late by the time he moves back. You know, he takes a step back, but by that time, Hernandez just unloads line. It wasn't straight down. It was more towards, I'd say, the middle between the 3-meter line and the end line. It was sort of towards the middle of that. And Swan's closer to the 3-meter line. So when he moved back, I mean, he couldn't dig that ball. You know, you're moving back. You're trying to dig a ball. Your arms are moving back. It's a pretty hard hit. You're going to swing it back. So he gets a kill off Swan Angapeth because Irvin Angapeth gave him line. Swan Angapeth, you know, misread it. He's way too far forward. By the time he moves into position, he swings it out. This is what Hernandez does after getting that kill. He stands at that net once he lands from his approach, lands from the kill, and he stares at Angapeth. You don't do that. You don't stare at one of the greatest players of all time and provoke him, dude. He didn't say anything. He just stared at Angapeth. That's what he did. I was like, no, you don't provoke Angapeth, dude. You don't provoke a player who's way better than you. You don't do it. So, and then the clip goes on a couple points later. Angapeth he hits line. So this lefty Hernandez is digging back row. He plays right side, so he's on Angapeth's line. Angapeth hits line. This Hernandez guy shanks it into the crowd. What does Angapeth do? I don't know. You provoked Angapeth. Angapeth hit it line on freaking purpose so you could shank it. Well, what's Angapeth going to do? He's going to do exactly the same thing you did. He stands at the net once he landed, and he stares at Hernandez. So I was dying. I'm like, dude, that's what you get. You don't provoke him. I mean, come on. You should know better than that. So Angapeth just stares at him. And his team, Engapeth's team, is calling him over. You can see the setter like sort of clapping, like telling them to hurry the hell up and come into the huddle, because everyone else is huddled at this point. Engapeth is still staring at Hernandez, just staring him down. I'm pretty sure Hernandez could feel like the beating eyes of Engapeth just like burning into the side of his skull, because Hernandez was trying to like not start anything, even though he did start it. Hernandez just went into his huddle and Engapeth just stayed there at the net. And then a couple plays later, the score is 27-27, and it's a bad pass on this Hernandez side, and the setter sets Hernandez a trap set. Hernandez has to tip it, but it's a trap set, so he has nowhere to go. Engapeth blocks it. Engapeth stares at Hernandez again. Like, dude, come on. Like, you don't provoke Engapeth. Like, I'm not gonna go play a professional team and then like provoke their best player. Come on, that's not something you do out of respect. Come on, dude, I gotta kick your ass on the volleyball court. It gets better. It gets better, guys. I trust you. Trust me, it gets better. So I was done watching this clip. This clip's like a minute 12 long. If you could find it, World of Volley, search Engapeth and then scroll or you just World of Volley and scroll all the way down till November, to mid to end November, and you'll see the video I'm talking about. So I exit this video, go back, because it takes you to their page, which I like a lot better, because for some reason Facebook videos, you have to hit HD. It's a lot of steps, dog. So it takes you to their website. Their website shows you a YouTube video. This video is a minute 15. So I exit it, go back to the World of Volley main page, accidentally scroll to view older ones instead of scrolling up. The post before this clip, here's the post. Ervin Engapeth saves Modena against this team versus Hernandez. Saves Modena from 2019 from losing against this team. So apparently Modena wasn't doing so well, including Ervin Engapeth, until this one point, and then Ervin Engapeth, I guess, became a superstar like he normally is, which he should have done from the beginning. But then again, we wouldn't have this clip, which he should have done from the beginning and ended this team right away. Instead, they had to go to 5 sets with this team, and Ervin Engapeth had to be the superstar and be the reason why they won in 5 sets. So I found that kind of funny. Like, this Hernandez kid just provoked Engapeth, and it was near game point. So you mean to tell me this Hernandez kid pretty much just screwed his team over? That's what he did. He provoked Engapeth. Engapeth like turned Super Saiyan and became regular Engapeth, because regular Engapeth is Super Saiyan. He turned into regular Engapeth and then got Modena back and then won that game. So essentially, if Hernandez would have never provoked Engapeth, Modena essentially would have lost. So that's why I'm highlighting Engapeth, because he has that power to just turn that switch and just unload on the team. It's awesome, dude. When I saw that, I was dying laughing. I'm like, wow, this Hernandez kid screwed his team over, and I'm sure he knew it. I'm sure at the end of that, it said at the end that they shook hands and said good job. I'm sure Hernandez screwed up. But, credit to Hernandez. He did score 20 points against Modena, but Engapeth scored 21. And I'm pretty sure a big chunk of that was after Hernandez, provoked him. So I found that kind of funny. If you guys want to see it for yourselves, World of Volley, like I said, mid to end November, just scroll, watch the video, and then once you exit the video, you'll see the post right before that. It says Engapeth pretty much saves Modena, becomes a superstar of Modena. Well, he's always a superstar, but I forget exactly what it is, but it's something like that, where Engapeth saves the team from losing to this team. And I think it happened after that Hernandez thing. So I found that kind of funny. So I don't think I'd ever provoke a player from the other team unless they started talking ish, but I mean, that's pretty funny. So I think that's pretty much it. We're about an hour in, an hour 5. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Hartnell_MVC. Just a reminder about our 2 home games. Our 2 home games are January. I should have them memorized by now. Oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. January 29. Sunday. January 29, Sunday versus San Jose State at 2 p.m. So by that time, you guys turn up Saturday. You guys are either still up and have enough energy to go to Hartnell on a Sunday at 2 p.m. versus San Jose State, or you guys just woke up from that turn up and you guys need something, to kind of calm your nerves, just go to Hartnell. Whether you're still up from the turn up or whether you're hungover, just go to Hartnell, January 29 at 2 p.m. to watch us play against San Jose State. Or maybe pre-turn up, you go to Hartnell on February 4th on Saturday, pre-turn up at 7 p.m. when we play against UC Berkeley. Both these games are going to be fun, guys. You guys are going to be mad that you guys missed it. Just show up. Just show up. We appreciate all the fan support. And next week's podcast, we're going to have ourselves a champions, NCAA Women's Championship. So that should be exciting. Once again, Thursday and Saturday. Thursday is regular ESPN, the main ESPN. We did it, guys. We finally made it to the regular ESPN. Mama, we made it. All right. See ya. Bye.